Julia Sotis!
And welcome to our Google Hangout. Just an apology for everyone. We had a problem with the link. We're used to using Zoom, and Google Hangout was a different choice for us this time, and we've had lots of awareness. So we are happy if you've made it to here. We know 71 people have registered for the event. So let's see what else is possible, and let's see where we go, and we will send out a replay to everyone. So today we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about, Julia?
Never justify, never confront, and never seek approval.
Awesome. So Miss Julia, so first of all, welcome everyone. If you would like to ask us a question, please put it on the chat. We are here to deliver the ease that we have received in our lives through using the tools and processes of Access Consciousness. And why do I do this? Nothing lights me up as much as seeing someone coming alive to being and having that space to be, which is, in my personal opinion and point of view, it's actually our birthright. So Miss Julia, how come you're here with me tonight?
Well, I have been doing Access for about 5 years now, and the tools and the transformation and the happiness that I have come to be, that I just dreamed about before I started, I could not give it back for $1 million. I would not give up my first Access class for $1 million, and it's a set of tools and processes, and it's also just really about you being whoever you are. But sometimes it can be really difficult for us to just be whoever we are. It's a good concept. We hear all the time, be yourself. It's like, okay, I'll try. Just hold on a minute while I'm sitting here listening to all of the judgments that are going on around me. So I love these tools. They have been such a game changer for me. It's not a religion. It's not a spirituality thing. It's not even really a self-help thing. Maybe the closest you could call it is a self-help, but it's just a set of tools that allow you to actually have the joy of living, and they actually work. And one of the really amazing tools and concepts that the founder of Access Consciousness gives, Gary Douglas, is the tool never justify, never confront, and never seek approval, which sounded like a crazy tall order when I first heard about it, and I have very much studied, this concept and chose to become it, and it has made my life a lot easier. And it's a journey and an awareness building experience every day. And Rachel and I just want to discuss this and actually give you guys tools and steps in order to be able to become that yourself.
Absolutely. And when we're talking here tonight, when we're saying never justify, we're not saying you're wrong if you do. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing to be fixed. What we're saying here is the tool of never justify allows you to choose for you. And for me in my life, a lot of the times I made myself wrong for my choices, how different I was, and particularly how different I was in relation to people, in what worked for me in my life, in what made me happy, versus what made someone else happy. And it's like I had to justify my choices. Now, if you look at, say for example, Julia, if you ask me for dinner and I say, no, it doesn't work for me. And how much in life does someone question your choice, question what you're choosing, make you wrong for what you're choosing? And because we're so friggin' aware, that we perceive the energy of judgment, which is like that, and it's electric. It's not an acoustical vibration of when you're lying in the sand or when you're lying in the forest. You know, that energy when we're chatting with a friend, when the two of us chat and we're like, you know, it's not that energy, and it's so not in vibrational with who you be that you perceive it like this, and you're like, what's wrong with me? And there is nothing wrong with you. And how many times do you make your awareness wrong? And I think that stems really from all the crap that we build on that. We make our awareness wrong. We have never been told that that's your awareness. It's not yours. And so a lot of the times you're filling spaces that aren't even yours to fill. You know?
Yeah. I really like that example. And how much of our life do we think that that everything has to be justified? Like, if we don't have a good reason for something, then we shouldn't choose it. Everything in this reality has to be logical and linear and make sense and add up. But in reality, the people who live the greatest lives and have the most magical lives are actually the people who just choose what they're going to choose because it's fun for them, because that's what they're going to choose. And you see these people's lives grow and get greater and sort of spiral out of control in a positive way, where everything's growing and becoming greater than it was yesterday. So I love the concept. I think my favorite of these is never seek approval. I justifying and confronting, okay, I get it, and we'll talk about each of them. But I love the idea of never seeking approval, because we have spent our whole lives looking for approval. And who's the person that you're looking to the most for approval?
Wow.
Yeah, and what if that sort of reference point of judgment was eliminated from your life? Who would you be if that reference point was eliminated? Because it's sort of like a ship with an anchor, you know? The ship can sort of drift to the left, it can drift to the right, but we can't get far enough away from that reference point to have really and truly everything that we desire, which is a very, very true possibility. But when we keep ourselves coming back and we're always looking for something to give us approval to know that we're on the right boat, for lack of a better term, you know, we're not actually just cutting the ties and sailing out to sea. And the best thing that I have found to change that is actually the access clearing statement, which most of you will have heard of, and some of you who are new to this will not have heard of. But basically, it's an undoing of those anchors, and it has given me my wings. Totally. And I'm so grateful.
It's so funny. We run processes in Access Consciousness, and one of these processes, Julia brought it up, and it's what energy. If you see energy, space, consciousness, just even perceive how much space that gives you in the world. And there's a beautiful clearing. I remember hearing it at my second class, and I just loved it. And it is what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be. To be out of control, out of definition, out of limitation, out of form, out of structure, out of significance, out of concentricities and linearities. And everything that is times the God's in you willing to destroy and uncreate it all.
Yeah.
Good and bad, right and wrong, all nine pot and pock, shorts, boys and beyond. So you said something that was brilliant, and it actually, like, you've got to look to how you communicate. And when you said that piece about like being the ship and having anchored, the jewel in this is, if it's like a ship is made to sail and travel the world. It's not made to be in the harbour, rooted in someone else's point of view or someone else's approval. And when you look at that, when you're seeking approval, what is it that you are seeking from the other person that you actually are unable to gift yourself with? And for me, there was no value in Rachel, and I'm going to use the word just, but this is how I used to use it, just being me. And it's not a just. It's a just for no one. The gift of being you isn't acknowledged in this planet. Where does anyone tell you for the fact that you be is a contribution? We live in a world where it's do, and prove to me, that you can receive my caring, or that it's a conditioned receiving. And you see, that's where access takes up all these form, structure, and significance and goes, and then you become aware that that's not your reality, and the whole thing is a creation based on what I do is how I'm validated. And this is the beauty of this work. It really facilitates you to see what is actually your point of view about yourself. And it looks at deep in all this, you actually, you begin to get like a view of the diamond and a look at it. And that space, to me, you said it, that's the $1 million too. That, like, the fact that I have value in Rachel today, the fact that I can honor you and honor me, and that we can actually like walk a different future together. That's the never seeking approval. That's living never seeking approval. Like, for what reason would I ever look for you to seek my approval on what works for you? It's such a superior point of view. And by superior, it means that I know better for Julia than she does. And like, everything's the opposite of what appears to be, nothing's the opposite of what appears to be. How can I honestly sit in front of another person and tell them what I know works for them? That's not possible.
Totally. That's amazing. It's a great way to put it. So we talked about never seek approval. So let's just do a couple clearings on that, and then we can move to the next one. If you don't know what the Access Consciousness clearing statement is, then you can go to theclearingstatement.com, and it will tell you exactly what it is and why we do it. So you want to ask a great clearing for this is, what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about always seeking approval that keeps you anchored to the judgment of those who see the least in you and them? So everything that is, y'all, will you destroy and create at all times a godzillion?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pot and pock, shorts, boys and beyonds.
Miss Julia, can you please break that down? So what have you made so vital? In other words, you've made someone else's point of view about you greater, as in you can't live without that person's approval. Valuable, that person is more valuable to you than what you know works for you. And real, their point of view and their validation is more real than you being value. So that, and it's like that, keeps you anchored in the approval of someone else. When you look at that, if I seek approval from Julia in everything I do, whose life am I living? Mine or Julia's?
Exactly.
And I often, it's so funny, I seem to be doing sessions with parents lately that they have a point of view that the kid is a problem. And usually after a few sessions, they start to realize that their kid has to be a certain way according to this reality, and they're seeking approval from teachers, from parents, grandparents, from society, environment. They're seeking approval. I must be seen as the good parent. And in fact, most of the time, it's those projections, expectations, separations, and judgments actually stop them from having this place where they can be with their kid. I mean, if you just look at this, if you took away the seeking approval of the world, and we came away, what if you never had to prove yourself ever again? Like, what would it create for us to be with each other?
Yeah, what could each of us become that the rest of us don't have a reference point for? Like, what if what we could become that's greater than anything here? What if the businesses we could create, you know, the life forces we create, the experiences, the fun, the consciousness, what if what you have to create has nothing to do with anybody else around you? Like, what if the people, if all of us could play in our own playground, the wealth and the strength and the consciousness that each of us would have would naturally seep over and create for everyone around us, and everyone would be able to contribute, but not from the place of, is where I'm going good enough for you? Is it, you know, have I justified my choice here? Is it good enough? Does it make sense? Is it logical? If I choose this, am I, you know, is everything going to fall apart? And always looking to somebody else to make that choice for you. But we don't want to trust ourselves. We do not want to trust ourselves. It is not normal in this reality to trust yourself.
And it's so funny because you've just shown me something when someone says, oh, I feel it in my gut. That's a justification of, I know I have to prove it to you by saying this is where it is, right?
Yeah.
And that whole piece of, I have to prove to you what I know. How about you just trust what I know? And I see today still in my life, people don't trust what I know, and now it means absolutely nothing to me. I know what I know, and it took me a while to get to that place. You know what you know. You know there is a part of you that intrinsically know what lights you up. There's a part of you that, what is it you'd like to do? Travel, you know, how come you're traveling? Oh, because I'd like to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how come you've been in Dublin last night for an abuse hold? Oh, because my body chose it. You know, it's fun for me. And it's like, it's what if we just, like, by being you, it leaves the space where a contribution can take place, where it's not a competition to justify how good I am and how right I am, and in that place there's no gifting and receiving, there's no generosity of spirit, because it's just electrics hitting off each other the whole time.
I love your, I just feel like you're spanking your little kid's butt. But this morning, you know, I was actually at the gym, and I was climbing up on the stairmaster, but I was just, you know, I'd have all my best thoughts at the gym, and one of the things I was thinking about is how the path that I personally have chosen has been very, you know, frightening, very adventurous, very different, not a normal path to take at all. You know, I was self-employed since I've been 20 years old, and but I was looking at what I have chosen and how it has been difficult at times and nerve-wracking. But because I do not have a boss, because I do not have people that I am seeking approval from. And that's not to say that I don't, you know, sometimes catch myself looking for approval. Go ahead. What were you going to say? What's your thought there?
That's so funny. When you showed me that, it was like, it's when I don't have to seek approval. How much do we make seeking approval? It's so funny. You just showed me something that if I seek approval from you, it means that I care about you.
Right.
And it's so weird. It's like, if I seek approval, it means that I'm justifying that I care about you. You know?
So everything that is times Godzillion, can we destroy and uncreate it all? That's a good point. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, puck, shorts, boys, beyonds. Yeah.
And sometimes it's so funny. And if you're on the call, start asking, when I'm actually seeking approval, what is it that I'm looking for? And for me, sometimes I'll go to ask someone something and then I won't. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually looking for validation of what I'm going to create. And 9 times out of 10, well, actually 99 times out of 100 and even more, that person might not even get what I'm talking about or what I'd like to create. It for me, it's crystal clear in my awareness how it's going to work. So it's like, look at what am I actually delivering, what am I actually looking for, and what would it take for me to acknowledge me. And then if it's a conversation where you are, you know, asking a question, look at, can this person empower you? I mean, I think a beautiful thing for me is if I have a chat, a 2-minute chat with someone, and I'm all wonky and funky, I'm not empowered. I'm not in the power of and the potency of Rachel and what I can be and do in the world. And for me, really ask, like, if you are seeking approval or if you go into that dribble energy, it's like a dribble, 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 dribble. Look at, like, what is it that you are actually looking for here, and who can I call or who can support me to actually facilitate me to get the awareness of what I know. There are times in life where we do require someone to, when we hit a bump, that we require someone to put their hand on my back and go, hey, you know what works for you? What do you know? What are you aware of? And when someone says, hey, what do you know? What are you aware of? Like the gift of asking a child that, hey, what's going on? What's up? You know, you're giving them a space to actually say what's up. And for me personally, I think I've been the biggest contribution to people when I don't speak, when I just even listen. And what we're talking about is, when we're talking about never justify, never confront, never seek approval, we're looking for you to receive you. That's actually what this is all about, to receive the awareness of you, the knowing of you, and not to have it vested in someone else's point of view.
Wow. Well, definitely hit some nails on the head, and I'm yawning my head off, which means we are cutting through some major unconsciousness.
Yeah. And we have a few people on, guys. If you'd like to ask a question, or unmute and come on and ask a question. I see people sometimes, and say, for example, my daughter chose to go back to college last year, and she just went off and did it. She told no one. She registered. She went back by day. She chose to go back into full-time education, and she just did it. And I was like, how cool is that? She actually didn't even require her mother's approval, that was something that she didn't require. She has, knowing to trust herself to do what works for her. And to be able to facilitate, particularly, and I do talk about kids a lot, I see when we are not supported, including myself, in my own past, there wasn't that space to be. And it actually shuts down temporarily, because you'll always come back from it. It shuts down the awareness of the beauty that you be in the world. Like the gift that you are when you support someone to know what they know, whether it's to go off and join the army, whether it's to go down and work in a coffee shop you love, serving coffee. For me at the moment, I'm doing Airbnb and there's someone staying in my house. It makes me super happy that someone has a nice place to stay while they work in a different city. What if people say, how can you do Airbnb? And I went looking for an excuse. I have no clue what's fun. A lot of the times you got to get that you don't even look for the reason. You just do something because it's fun or adds to your life. When you start to trust that, your life gets better and it expands more and more. And the weird thing is, the more that you trust you, people start to trust themselves more when they're with you.
When they're with you, yeah.
Yeah. And I absolutely love when people just say yes or no, and they don't seek approval or they don't justify. It's like, hey, they don't have to do that with me. How does it get any better?
Yeah. That's really neat. And I mean, all of our realities, it's like, it just goes to show how each of our realities are so different from each other. Like, we seem to
Totally.
have this strange thing going on where we want to be like each other, or we think we have the same wants, desires, requirements as each other, or that we have the same capacities and abilities. It's like, what does a tree have to do with, you know, a day planner? What does a tree have to do with a day planner? They both, see, they both have leaves on them. That's awesome. But they have very, very different uses. It's like we think that just because we both have leaves on us, we both have hair on our head, that we have anything to do with each other. All we can do is contribute to each other in whatever way that is. But it's not up to one of us to tell the other when they're doing a good job or if they're doing the correct thing. And also, we can talk about confrontation, because I used to think that somehow, eventually, confrontation had to be the answer. You know, you could send some, you know, you could say nice things for a while, or you could try to figure it out, or, you know, Gary Douglas will give you little manipulative lines to give people to make things work better for them to create a greater result. But I figured, you know, eventually confrontation, it must have to come down to confrontation if things aren't working. And the truth is, it never does. You can never tell somebody that they are doing something wrong, that they are hurting you, that they aren't enough, and it make them more. That is not possible. That is not the way it works. And we have this funny thing of telling people when they've hurt our feelings. We have this funny thing of telling people when we, you know, when they don't deliver. People will never deliver unless they want to deliver. And the more of an expectation you have of them, the less they can deliver. It's like if somebody's standing over you watching you work, are you greater or are you less?
Less. Your whole body, you know that they have an expectation, and particularly the type of beings we are. If you slap an expectation on us, we'll go the opposite way. We'll actually go away. And it's so fantastic. Like, I could see myself, and this is one that I'm really aware of, does not create anything. The minute that I have a fixed point of view and I think that you should get it and I'm delivering it, I am actually, like, energetically, you know, disempowering you, because I'm saying my point of view is greater than yours. And instead of being like, what's the person, what do you mean, in a conversation? And being aware that I see people sometimes and they make a limitation wrong, or they make a point of view wrong. Listen, I still have millions of points of views. You know, I'm aware of a few today. And it's like, your limitations are not wrong. You know, you don't have to justify what you're choosing to anyone. And also, if you have a fixed point of view on someone, you're saying, I know better.
Yeah.
And that's, would you like to work with someone and contribute to someone's life that says that to you?
No.
And that's the piece. If you're committed to your life, which is the time and the energy to making your life more ease, and as you said, greater than yesterday, then you do require, and the skills, and this is where the tools of access, we're both pragmatic chicks, and we would not be here today talking about this if our lives didn't get better. This is where the tools of access allow you to communicate so that you can be aware of the other, where the other person is functioning from, and what it is you can create, or what it is that you would not, maybe not like to create together with. And it's not right or not wrong, it just is. You know, and it's gathering information, and that's made so wrong in this reality. For what reason? We, as children, that's what we did. Curiosity and wonder and play, and, oh, Julie, if we do this and we do this and we do this. And then that's made wrong as you get older, because you have to justify why you're asking the question, and, you know. And I think, for me, Gary Douglas is an inspiration, how he continuously is willing to see the greatness in someone, and how in his book it's a complete arrogance to think that he would know greater for them than they would know themselves, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So let's do a clearing on that. So what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about confrontation that keeps you insisting you and others always become less than what is possible? And everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pock and pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yesterday I put a quote on Facebook by Gary Douglas, and it said something along the lines of, if you're not destroying and uncreating your relationship with someone, if you're not destroying and uncreating your expectations of them, they can never deliver everything they're capable of. They can only deliver what you require of them. And that is so much less than what they are capable of.
And a piece onto that, have a listen to that a few times because it took me a while to get that. You know, Julia delivers these lines. Remember, the both of us have done a lot of classes. The both of us are looking to get clear on how we create our lives and the ease that we would like to have in them. I am looking at my own partner that I'm in a relationship with right now, and it's amazing. The more I destroy and uncreate my relationship with him, the more I clear on my projections, expectations, separations, and judgments. He contacted me about something last night, and it was like, wow. If you have a viewpoint of he must give me the pearl necklace, or he must give me this guy might be capable of creating way more ease with your business, or contributing to a project, or not. It's I see in life that we look to change people, and I did the same thing. the for me, the allowance, and you see, functioning from the space of allowance is beyond the never justify, never seek approval, never confront. And that takes practice. It's a tool. Now, if you do confrontation, which I did, you're not wrong. Chances are you've been, we've all these like little neuropeptides that have been wiring and firing together, and your responses will be, if you're Italiano, you might use your hands, or, it's all cultural different viewpoints, in Ireland, they say an argument clears the air. So you're not wrong, because these impulsive behaviors are actually a natural autoresponder to go to. So the new way might take a while, and that's okay. We're not saying that you're going to change a whole lifetime of behaviors like this. This takes practice, and this is how come we do calls. This is how come we continuously choose to go to classes. We're always looking to be greater.
Yeah, it's like you never reach the one perfect state of enlightenment, the one perfect state of consciousness. And I like it. I like the fact that there's always greater. There's
Yeah.
always greater. If there wasn't always greater, I wouldn't want to be here. I wouldn't want to do it. There's always something greater. And using these three things, never confront, never justify, never seek approval, it's a totally different way of being in the world. To be those things is to be the dragon that does not care about what other people think about them at all. And I mean the good dragon, like the strong dragon. Gary Douglas was talking about dragons on one of his most recent telecalls, and it's like he said, you guys want to be the unicorn and you want to fly around and prance, and he's like, what if it was about being the dragon that was like no one, needed no approval, and became everything that they knew they could be? You are the only one of your species. So everywhere you're trying to find your species, find your people, how much time have you invested in finding the right friends rather than being you? It's like, I've put so much time in Vancouver. I lived in Vancouver for a year, and I made myself so wrong for not going out and making friends, but I had a blast on my own. I created my business. I created my life. I went out to fabulous restaurants. I loved every second of it. And it's like, your people do not exist. You are the only one of your species. And when you are confronting, justifying, and seeking approval, you are trying to make yourself like others. And it just does not create greater for you.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. For sure. Yeah. How's it? So, I was so much space, I nearly forgot to talk. Oh, so we are doing a call on this never justify, um, never confront, never seek approval. And the call is going to be like an action. It is going to be a being in your life where you become aware of the places that you're doing this so that you can change it and receive more. So the call starts when, Julia?
It starts next week. It starts 1 week today, June 21st. We begin
Cool.
1 week.
So June 21st, June 28th, and then we've a break as Julia's in the Maestro, and we come back on July the 8th, is it? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's going to
So,
be a three-class series. One part is going to be never justify, one part's going to be never confront, and one part's going to be never seek approval. And we're going to be looking at this in terms of money, in terms of business, in terms of relationship, in terms of sex. I mean, oh my gosh, the sex part is going to be something else, because how much do we do those things in sex? And we're just really going to look at this and become what we truly are beyond justification, confrontation, and approval.
cool. So we're excited about it. And for me, I'm really excited whenever I choose to facilitate a call. It creates so much more in my life. And I'm really interested at looking at where I justify myself with money and where I justify my choices as a parent. So, this is a journey that we continue to walk and choose to be more in every day. And we just would like you to come along if you'd like more space for you, and if you'd like to see you beyond the justifications, beyond the confrontation, and beyond the seeking approval.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for being here. Bye.